Cool, starting in a couple of minutes.
Just wanted to send it to perhaps Ryan. So it appeared to send it to that chat.
Oh, okay. All right, just checking. All right, I'll connect with you guys later.
Okay, see you later.
See you.
Cool. Right, let's get started. Let's see where we left off. So if I hit play here and start the server, come over to our clone and hit play there. And start a client. So we have our movement, we have our stabby. We can come over here, we can do start client, and we can stab our friend and affect his health.
I think the stabby, that's gonna be a meme now.
Stabby. No. Okay, so one thing I don't like, right, is that if we just walk into the other player, we hurt them, okay? Which is not really what we want. We want, when we stab them, we hurt them, and you know, that's not really an attack, just walking into them like that. So I feel we need to fix that first before we go any further. Also, the other thing to make clear is that although it kind of looks like our health on both our clients are keeping in sync, that's not really the case. That is kind of presuming that the positions on all the clients are going to be perfectly aligned. Because actually this damage is getting done separately on each client. That's not really the way that you should do it. You should handle the damage on the client that has ownership, and then sync it across all the other clients, and we'll go into that. That's basically going to be the bulk of what this stream is all about. But first of all, let's fix our walking into our friend and stabbing him almost incidentally. Now if we go into our prefab, we can kind of see what the problem is here. Let me just search for the dagger, easiest way of doing it. This kind of search bar here is quite handy for doing that, and then if you clear it, it kind of keeps the selection. And so we have this damager on the end of our blade, and it's always enabled, this circle collider, so it's always going to damage no matter what. And I feel like it should default to being disabled like that, and then only get enabled during the attack animation. So that kind of sounds like a plan, doesn't it? So let's come to our animation window here, and if we choose our attack, animation. Let's see, you know, when we're kind of fully thrust, which is about there. If we hit record, well, let's first of all make sure that we are our Circle Collider is disabled at the start, so we'll just click that a couple of times to make sure that is disabled at the start. Then if we come here, fully extended, we'll enable, and then we'll keep it enabled very briefly, maybe about there, and then we'll disable it again, and we'll come back. So you can kind of see it just sort of flashes on for a moment, does its damage, and comes back again. So that is kind of perfect, I think. Let's turn off record, and let's see if that works. Come over here, make sure, looks like it has updated the animation, so I don't think I need to double check that. Sometimes it doesn't sync animations for some reason, or at least changes to animations, but that did work. So if I hit, well, let's come out of here. If I hit play now, hit start server, come over here, hit play. Start client, move ourselves over a bit, come in here, start client. Now hopefully we can walk through our friend like so, not damaging them at all. But if we do stabby stabby, that works, and it's turned off again, so that works. It's a good idea to check all this stuff. Let's check it on the other client, so wander through our friend. And as you can see, actually, look, you see, we are out of sync already, you see, so case, you know, proof that this isn't, you know, this is, we haven't really resolved our health issues, so to speak. And if we stab our friend here, you can kind of see that it's kind of working on the other screen, but there you go. So I think that's a little better now. The other thing we want to do before we get much further, just to tidy things up a bit, is let's have a look at our health script. I kind of want to change these into integers. I'm not entirely sure why they're floats. They should really be integers, I feel. So let's just fix that now before we go any further as well, just to be finicky. Take damage, should be an integer really, and this will cause a problem because this is a integer divided by an integer, and so it's either going to be 1 or 0. So we just need to convert one of these to a float, and then that will solve that issue there. You would see what I mean if you didn't do this, that your health bar is either going to be full or empty. So if you just see that happening, just make sure you convert one of your integers to a float so that it forces that to work. Damage here needs to be an integer, and then that should all be happy. So I'm kind of happier now with how things are. But like I said, we really only want to be able to do some damage if we're the owner of the character that we're moving around. Yeah, so if we're moving the character around, we're the owner, right? And so we need to test for that. And if you remember with our move 2D, we managed to be able to test for that down here. Not down here, there. Because we inherited from network behavior, not mono behavior. Mono behavior doesn't know whether we're the owner or not. Only the network behavior knows that. So let's do that, i.e. convert our damager so that it inherits from network behavior. And so we do need to import the fishnet.object namespace so that we can inherit from network behavior here. And then essentially we want to test here if we're the owner. If we're not the owner, just let's return immediately. Let's not try and do any damage. Otherwise, we can go ahead and do some damage. Let's double check that that is happy. Just double check this attack animator got updated because I'm just paranoid. Yeah, it did. Okay, cool. Let's hit play here. Start server. Here, hit play. Start client. Let's move this over here. Start client here, come down here. So we're owning this, so we should in theory be able to do damage. We're owning this, so in theory we should be able to do damage, which we can. So that all looks like it's doing its work. Right. Now here comes the kind of complicated bit. And I guess a little bit tricky to explain. So we want to synchronize. As you saw, we weren't synchronizing the damage between the two clients there at all. And so we want to fix that. We want to synchronize the damage between all our clients, right? It might not be just two clients. It might be 5, 10, 20 clients, right? And so if we damage a player, we want to kind of synchronize the damage that we're doing to that player across all the clients, right? So we need to do two things. First of all, we need to to communicate with the server and say, look, we're damaging something here, right? And then the server then needs to propagate that out to all the observing clients. And so all the clients update the status of the health. And so that is kind of in a nutshell what we need to do. And so if we've come in here and we're damaging, right? We're the owner, we're a client, we're the owner of the object we're moving around. And we basically want to then communicate down to the server that we've done an attack and run that on the server, so that then the server can do the job of propagating that out. So how do we communicate with the server? Well, that is what we use server RPCs for. So RPC stands for Remote Procedure Call, and it's basically a way of running a function kind of across the network. And so we are going to define a function now that will just run on the server, and that we can kick it off from a client. And so it's a kind of client-server way of communication. And actually in Fishnet, although that sounds all complicated and kind of the concepts are a little bit tricky to get your head around, you need to do them a few times really to kind of see them working and kind of get your head around them a bit. So don't worry if this loses you a little bit. It is a little bit of a thing to get your head around, but the nice thing is that Fishnet actually makes setting this stuff up pretty easy, right? So it's just the concepts that are kind of tricky, not the actual implementation. So let me set up the function that's just going to get run on the server. So if I do a private void, and I kind of like to call them server, just start off calling them server just to remind myself that these are things that are just getting run on the server. So I'm going to call this server damager, because that's kind of what it is, right? And this server damager is going to take the health component of our opponent, bit of a mouthful. So this is the opponent's health, like so, and we're gonna do something in here, but let's not worry about that quite yet, right? So this is something that gets run on the server, but just calling it server damager is not kind of like, it's not a magic thing. The name's not a magic thing. That's not enough to kind of get it running on the server. All we need to do is we just need to prefix it with, in square brackets, server RPC, like so. And then just this tag here is enough to say this is a remote procedure call that should be run on the server. So that's pretty clever. And so now in here, we don't want to run this just locally. So let's just comment that out. We actually want to call server damager. And we want to send over the health component of our opponent that we just stabbed. So that is other.gameObject.getComponent help, all this bit here. So let me just copy that and paste that in there, and that will do the trick nicely. In fact, let's just, well, yeah, no, I'll leave this commented in for the moment, just so you see what we were doing. And you may kind of ask the question why we're not kind of doing this take damage. I'll explain that a little bit later, actually. It's a little bit involved, but we've now got this server RPC that will run on the server. So now in here we want to call something that will propagate the new health of our opponent across to all the clients and update the health on all the clients, right? So let's set that up in health.cs. That would be the sensible place to do that. And as you can imagine, we've now talked from our client to the server, and now we are kind of propagating something out from the server to all our attached clients, right? So this is another RPC, and this is called an observables RPC, because it's a remote procedure call on all the observing clients. So let's set that up now. So I need it to be public because I want to call it from the damager script. So it's a public. So public void, and again, like the other one I prefixed with server, just to remind myself that it's running on the server, I'm going to prefix this one with observers to remind myself that this is going to actually get run on every single observing client. So observers, update, health, and I'm going to do underscore health here just to separate this from the health that's held inside the class itself. So I want to update the health in the class, and then I'm going to use that to update the health bar. But again, just like the server RPC, this is not enough to tell this function that it's an observer's RPC function. So we need to do a square bracket here, and then we want observers RPC like that. Now it's complaining because although we updated damager to be a network behavior, we didn't update our health. So we're going to have to do that because mono behavior doesn't know anything about observers or anything. It's not a multiplayer enabled thing. So, but network behavior is and does know about this stuff. So let's come down here, and now the complaint should have gone away. Let's put a space in there to make it a little bit cleaner. And now we have this observers update health, and this, when we call this, because it's tagged with this observers RPC, it'll just go away to every connected client and just update them all, which is kind of cool. So come back to our damager, and lo and behold, this is what we need to call in here. So we do opponent health dot observers update health, and then that is opponent dot health minus the damage we want to do, which is oh well, we've got this int up here, so that's perfect. Cool. So I think we're in a pretty good place. Let me just look over things. So that's good. That looks good. I think we're ready to check it out. So let's hit play. Let's hit play here. We'll come here, we'll start the server. Come here, we'll start the client. We'll move this over here, like so. Let's make it so we can actually see both. We can see what's going on. Pull this over here a bit. There you go. Start client. Walk into our friend, make sure that isn't damaging it, which it isn't. Okay, what's the chances of this going to sync correctly over the network? I'll give it a 50-50 chance. Let's have a look. Whoa! First time. Seems to be syncing perfectly. But does it work the other way? Yes, it does. Stab him a few more times, just because, you know, make friends and stab people. So it kind of looks like we're done, but we're not. Because let's make things more complicated by bringing in yet another client. And of course my machine is slow because running 3 instances of Unity is beyond it. Hint, 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 I want a better machine. Let's hit play here. Right. Any predictions on what's going to happen if we add another client? Okay, let's see. Well, that kind of sucks because these health bars should not be full, obviously. Yeah, but what happens if we go and stab one of our friends? Ah, well, it's kind of synced up now, so that's not bad. If we come over here, and let's just be careful that we don't... There you go. That has synced up nicely as well now. So it's not a million miles away. And presumably if we come into our... Yeah, that syncs up nicely. We come over here and we stab this guy. So everything's syncing up nicely. It's just when you come in initially, the health bars are full and they shouldn't be, right? So that is the last thing we're gonna really fix today, because then we've pretty well got a synchronized multiplayer health system, and which is pretty cool. Well, let's just see if we stab away, does the guy disappear? Well, let's stab this one. Ooh. No, I guess we haven't got any disabling people. So I think we can add that as well, so that when their health is 0 they disappear. We can add that as well. But let's tackle the first thing, right? So hopefully you got that. That it's really just late joining clients and not getting the updated health that they should. And this will actually explain also kind of why we've done things the way we've done things. So how do we fix that issue? Well, actually it's almost depressingly easy to fix. We just need to add an option in here which is buffers last is equal to true. So what does that do? Buffers last equal to true, and as you can imagine it defaults to false, so this is a kind of override for the observer's RPC, but this is extremely handy, right? And then we hover over it so you can kind of read what the text says. True, to buffer the last value and send it to new players when the object is spawned for them. RPC will be sent on the same channel as the original RPC and immediately before the on spawn server override. Well, the important thing there really is that when a late coming client joins, they will actually get the last observer's RPC that went out to the other clients that were in the system. So essentially, if say observers update health sent 70 health to 2 joined clients and then a 3rd client joined, it will send that observers update health 70 to the client that just joined, and then of course that would mean that all the health bars would sync up nicely immediately. And this is kind of why we couldn't just do the take damage and put observers on the front of take damage and use this, because it would just send whatever our damage was, which was 10, right? And that's not enough to sync everything up. That will just do 10 damage to the new client that's joined, and it might have been, you know, the health might have been reduced down to 70 or 60 or something. So 100 take away 10 doesn't equal 60, right? So that's why you have to send the health along. So that kind of makes sense if you think about it. So we also wanted to do this set active equals false as well. So let's just copy this code as well. And then it should do that. And just so I don't get confused, let's just comment this out. And if any of our code is erroneously calling that, then we should get an error. Now the only other thing that I know is an issue is this start, because actually what happens is the buffered observers update health will actually arrive before the start runs. And so it will actually look like this doesn't work, which is very confusing. And this is only because this really should be in awake, not start. So my bad. This is really a bad idea to run this code on start. So run it in awake, and much safer, because awake is the very first thing that happens on a game object, and everything else should happen afterwards. So you shouldn't run into these issues. Start is way more ambiguous. I think we're good. Let's check. Hit play. Start server. Slow computer. We start the server there. Let's start the client here. Let's move this guy over here like so. Let's create a client. And I mean, I guess I haven't explained this, but you can actually have the server and the client on the same machine, which obviously this is what I'm kind of doing here. So just to make that statement, I guess hopefully it's pretty obvious. So let's hit play here, but let's not join yet. And so what are we doing here? We're coming here and we're stabbing this guy. Let's stab him down to 50%. Let's come over here. Let's turn around. Let's stab this guy just a couple of times, like so. And then now we should be able to see very clearly if our healths are syncing correctly. Okay, what's the chance of this working first time? 50-50 again. Let's go. There you go. Perfect. So we have fully synced up health bars now. And hopefully, if we stabby our friend here, when he hits 0, he should just disappear. And come over here and stabby our friend here. He disappears. And we're now all alone in the game, regretting our life decisions. That went a lot quicker than I thought it would. Because really, we've got pretty well everything working now on the fundamental side of the multiplayer. Movement, animation, syncing up of health bars. So we're looking in a pretty good state. I will just check the Discord server, see if there are any questions. Let's have a look. No questions. Ah. Although Kitsune, still no questions. I just came on. Okay. Nice. Well, I think this is a short one actually. We covered a lot, and I'm guessing there probably will be some questions when people watch the stream back, because it's pretty. This one is a bit of a complicated one, and that's why I didn't really want to cover more than health, because RPCs are a little bit tricky to get. I mean, even I struggle with RPCs because they're just a little bit tricky to get your head around. There's actually a third one, which is target RPC, which is like sending a remote procedure call to a very targeted client, just to a specific client. So I'll may cover that one. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. But complicated sounds fun. Yeah. But the server RPC and the observers RPC are the ones that are kind of your bread and butter ones. And the key thing to remember is that server RPCs are a way for clients to communicate with the server. I kind of like to think of them as like running a special function on the server. That's how I think about it, but I guess in reality it's communication from the client to the server. And the observers RPC is kind of the opposite. You're starting on the server, so observers RPC always gets run on the server, and then that kind of propagates out to all the connected clients. So that's the kind of way of thinking about it. So the server RPC just tends to get run on one machine, which is the server. The observers RPC, and that's kind of why it's plural observers, because generally you're going to have multiple clients, right? So you're going to have multiple people playing your game, right? So that's kind of how it works, and it's a way of syncing up all your clients so they all look the same, right? You kind of want all the players to have on every single machine. Bob, if he's got 50 health, you want Bob on every single machine to show 50 health, and that's what observers RPC kind of facilitates doing. That's about it, I think, for today. Same time tomorrow. I will think about what I'm covering tomorrow. I may move over to the blockchain stuff.
I got a question.
I'll go for it.
When Lambo from game development work, how many of game developers become super rich?
You're just a troll, I think, Anna. You're just trolling. That's not a decent question.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's the Web3 space, man. I got a question. Another question.
If it starts with when, then I'm not answering.
Do you think that Bored Ape Yacht Club are using Unity or Unreal, or they just don't use any of these engines because they don't know what they're doing?
I have no idea. I don't really know. I mean, I guess they're very focused on 3D and looking good, right? So, and they don't, like you say, they probably don't know what they're doing. So they're probably using Unreal. Not, I'm not bashing Unreal. I love Unreal, yeah, but out of the box, it definitely looks better on the 3D side than Unity. So that's my guess. But is it them that are doing like a really massive world or something? Like thousands of players or something? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I'm not sure, but yes, I think they can support thousands. That's the claim, I think. Yes. Not
Right.
100% sure. And my final question is, when are we gonna see this beautiful multiplayer in action in a real game? Somebody tells me that there is a game, something like called Rogue Fox something.
You're gonna have to be a little bit patient on that. But of course, yeah, a lot of this stuff that I'm going through here, of course, I'm using in Rogue Fox Guild. I'm using Fishnet. Ironically, right, I'm not using Fishnet in our fishing. Can you believe that, Anna? That's a missed opportunity, right?
It is. I thought that you picked that on purpose to be to be called Fishnet.
No, it's just a multiplayer library that's that, yeah, seems to be very popular at the moment. And I'd heard about it, but I hadn't really delved into it enough to do the fishing using it. And then, of course, I went to the NearCon, and all the devs there were like, "Oh, it's much faster than Photon. Oh, yeah, no, it's really good. You should check it out." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So, and I mean, it's only been around a very short amount of time, just a few months, I think, in a mature thing. I think maybe it's been around longer than that, but it's and it's good. I mean, as you can probably see from the videos, it's working nicely, and it's not that hard to use. And yeah, rumors peg it as being about 5 times faster than Photon. So my hope is that if the PvP goes well, because I'll use Fishnet for the PvP in Rogues, if that goes well, then I will go back to the fishing and I will convert it over to Fishnet, and hopefully then we will have 30 plus, who knows. I mean, if it's 5 times faster, maybe 40 players in Volgard, who knows. So we'll see, but that's roughly the plan, and it will just depend on how well the PvP goes.
And for those watching the stream, where can they get not on Discord? Where can they get support if they have any questions?
Well, if you go to roguefoxguild.com, you want to go there and join our Discord server. So there's a link at the top of that webpage, and yeah, I'm in the Discord server a lot, so just give us a shout. I've got a dedicated Morgan's Courses channel. Ask a question in there, and if I'm not around, someone will poke me and let me know that this question's being asked, and I will I will know pretty quickly. So,
or I'll let you know very quickly that somebody's poking you.
That's kind of exactly what I meant, really. That Anna will elbow me and say, "Look, answer the questions." So.
Nice. Well, thank you, Morgan. That's all the questions that I had.
Yes, and they were very good, deep ones. I appreciate them. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Catch you tomorrow, same time.
Bye.
Bye.